Hello, I'm Mario Farina. Today I will be reading a story to you, Thou Art a Witch. That's in this book, which I authored just a few days ago, and it was published in Amazon. Thou art a witch. We live in a world of witches. This is more of a problem in other lands than it is in the United States because we don't use archaic language here anymore. But we should know more about witches anyway. Here are the facts. There are many witches in the country. They look like ordinary people, men and women. But there are bad witches and there are good witches. The bad witches can cast spells. Good witches cannot do this, but they can remove them where they exist. If you say to a person, "Thou art a witch," there may be a reaction. If he or she is not a witch, the individual may be offended, but nothing worse is likely to happen. However, if that person is a bad witch, he or she may cast a spell upon you. The spell will be such that it can only be removed by a good witch. I can't emphasize how important this last paragraph is. In my youth, I was at a diner one time after I had been reading about witches. There was a lovely blonde woman serving me, and I thought I would try a new line. I said, "Thou art a witch." The plan was that if she complained, I'd say I had yearned to be placed under her spell. As it turned out, the woman was a bad witch. She became very angry and indeed placed me under a spell. She turned me into a coffee cup. Here is a picture of what I looked like at the time. I had not expected this outcome and spent several days suffering in this condition, but I was optimistic. Every time I'd be placed on the table and someone sat there to eat, I'd say, "Thou art a witch." My hope was that a good witch would hear and would remove the spell. Most of the time was simply shock. After all, who had ever heard of a talking coffee cup? After a week of this unpleasant existence, a pretty woman came to breakfast. She was alone. I said, "Thou art a witch." I was hoping she was a good witch so that she could remove the spell. "Yes," she responded, "I am a good witch." I was overjoyed and begged, "Would you please make me human again?" She was willing, but in no hurry. She wanted to know more about me. We had a pleasant chat, which was interrupted only when the server, a kindly-looking older woman, came to take her order. I had found out a lot of good things about the young woman, but all she knew about me up to that point was that I was a coffee cup. We continued our conversation, and I got the feeling that when I was human again, we could take our relationship to the next step. Eggs and bakes were delivered to her, and she enjoyed this, but I had nothing but coffee. After the good witch had eaten, she changed me back to a human. At that time, I found myself sitting opposite her. We continued to chat. At the end, we exchanged telephone numbers, and she left. The server came back and stared at me. "I didn't see you come in," she said. How could she have, I thought. I had been there all the while as a coffee cup. I found this a little amusing and began chortling a little too loudly. "What's so funny?" she asked. I was laughing by that time, and I said through my tears of laughter, I was thinking about the time I said something I shouldn't have and got turned into a coffee cup. What on earth did you say? The server asked. Thou art a witch, I replied. The woman's countenance took on a severe appearance. That was nasty, she growled as she turned me back to a coffee cup.